Hello everybody, I'm back at the studio to share practice with you. Let's hop onto our mats if we've got them. If we don't, no worries. Finding just a little space, maybe behind a couch or in the kitchen somewhere away from everybody else. You can spend some time by yourself and do something for you. So let's begin in a mountain shape. So stepping to the top of our mats if we've got one. Standing with our feet hip width apart, I invite you to close your eyes here. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And just taking some time to find the body. I know that sounds funny. We're always in our body, but we're not always in our bodies. Feel our feet against the ground or against our mats. Maybe rocking back and forth slightly to feel the weight change from the ball of the foot to the outer ridge of the foot and to the heel. Perhaps it feels nice to pick up the toes and set them down again. Feeling that spread through the toes and through the feet. Finding where the heels are and noticing, can we possibly kind of stack the hips over top of where the heels are and notice perhaps the kneecaps release very slightly. Feeling almost as if we are balancing on stilts, the upper body on top of the lower body. And just notice how this feels for a moment. Feel the ease and the weight through the low back pull you down toward the ground. Maybe that means it feels nice to sort of tuck the base of the tail in toward the body. On our next inhale, to lift up through the rib cage. Stay where we are, just lift the rib cage, breathe in. Hold that lift and breathe out. Pulling in the rib cage. Let's imagine we're wearing, maybe we haven't ever worn, but maybe we can imagine it, a wetsuit. So putting on maybe the top of a wetsuit or a vest of a wetsuit. So we've kind of pulled ourselves in here with that material that really snugs us in, and then zippering ourselves up through the center. So we feel a pull in toward the sides of the body all the way around, and a lift, feeling that integrity in our shape, feeling strong, feeling that core engagement. Inhale, still lifting through the ribcage, feel that pull in toward the body. Exhale, keeping that lift, yet feeling soft in the legs, feeling stronger and taller. Noticing the shoulders have probably relocated or moved in some way to be over top of our hips. Let's go ahead and open the chest ever so slightly, peel the shoulders down, lift up. Exhale to keep ourselves there, to engage that zippered in feeling, that wetsuit to draw you in, draw the core in and lift. Ears over the shoulders. Perhaps we're leaning forward with the chin or leaning back, more than likely leaning forward with what we're doing lately. So let's bring it back and set it into the body. Inhale to bring the arms up above the head, big, tall stretch. Maybe it feels good to look up. Let's hold those arms up nice and tall, arms alongside of the ears if that's available. Soften out the elbows ever so slightly and go ahead and pull the shoulder blades toward each other, squeeze them back. Remember that zippering sensation of our wetsuit. So we inhale to lift, we hold our core in, zip it all in. And take another breath here. Feel that integrity. Pull the shoulder blades back. Feel that squeeze in between. Inhale, lifting the arms up. Exhale, soften the knees, hinge the hips, and we'll go ahead and forward fold. Really soft knees. Allow the crown to point toward the ground. The arms to release. In through the nose, out through the nose. Feel the weight of the arms. Draw ourselves down. Soften the knees as much as you like to. Beautiful. Inhale to a half lift, perhaps putting the hands on the shins, lifting the ribcage away. Exhale to pull the belly in. Inhale through the upper chest. Exhale, pull the belly in, soften the knees, and we'll fold all the way down. If it feels nice to straighten out the legs, feel free to do so, perhaps holding opposite elbows, bending the knees, shifting the weight side to side. Beautiful. Release the arms. Inhale, a half lift, maybe up on fingertips, sending the tail behind. We'll take that extra breath here just like we did before. Inhale through the upper chest. Exhale to tuck that belly in toward the body. Imagine that wetsuit zipping up. Beautiful. Inhale through the upper chest. Exhale, soften the knees, tuck the belly in and fold. Inhale, big, tall, long stretch. Release the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Kiss our palms together and draw our hands down toward the center of the chest. Inhale, reach the arms up again. Exhale, hands toward the center of the chest. Let's do 2 more as it feels so good. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, release. Beautiful. Inhale, we reach up one more time. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Bring those hands down toward the ground. Release down. Inhale, a halfway lift. Press through the tail, lengthen the arms. Maybe the fingers are down, maybe they're on the shins. Take an extra breath here if you like. In through the upper chest. And then exhale and fold whenever you feel ready. Inhale, tall, long stretch, reaching up, big breath. Linking our fingers together, pressing the palms to the sky. Exhale to the right side. Laterally flexioning over to the right side, whatever side we'd like to bend toward. Pressing through the palms. So we inhale through those palms, shine through, lengthen out the spine. And exhale, maybe we can find a little bit of softness through and in between the ribs and the hips. Whenever our next inhale is, let's draw the palms up to the ceiling, lift, placing everything back where it was before, and then exhale over to the other side, lengthening out through the side body, over to your opposite side, whatever opposite side. In through the nose, out through the nose, shine through those palms, press, and exhale to soften in between. Inhale back toward the center, press those palms, everything back in place. Turn those palms back in and hands toward where the heart lives. Wonderful. Inhale, big, tall stretch. Exhale, hands through and down into a forward fold. Release down toward the ground. Release the head. Release the neck. Do what feels good for you here. Maybe holding onto your opposite elbows, adding that little extra weight here. Maybe to the nape of the neck, interlacing the fingers to the back of the head. You could soften the knees any amount. Take one more breath in our forward fold of our choice. Beautiful. Let's come up to our half lift. Measure ourselves up to that half lift. So maybe we use the fingers to feel it. Maybe we use the palms against the legs to feel it. And then bringing the hands behind ourselves, let's interlace the fingers and press the fists away from the body, pulling the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe a soft knee. If we feel a little hypermobile in those knees, if the knees tend to buckle back a little bit, let's soften them through. Press those palms away, lengthen out the neck. Gaze a little bit forward to feel a squeeze through the center of the spine or the center of the shoulder blades. Use that press to lift yourself up. Press the fists away from you and then toward the ground, releasing the chin or lifting the chin up toward the ceiling, lengthening out, elongating through the front of the body. Press the fists down, drop the shoulders down, lift the heart. Take 2 breaths here. Feel that long line, almost pelvis to the chin tip. One more. Beautiful. Tucking the chin back in, releasing the hands. Reach the arms up above the head to kiss the hands together, drawing down to heart center on the exhale. Wonderful. Big, tall stretch. Inhale to reach. Exhale, fold yourself down all the way toward the ground. Let's take 2 breaths here. Take a moment for yourself. Lengthen the legs if you like that. Half lift if that feels better. If we find our low back is chattering a little bit, maybe being at a half lift feels a little bit more comfortable for you. Wonderful. Releasing down in the knees so much so we can sort of touch down with our fingers or the palms. So almost in a squat, if we find our hamstrings are a little bit tight, the trick is just to bend the knees. So let's find a softness in the knees. We're going to focus more on the shoulders here. So lifting up one of our feet and placing the palm underneath. So our palm is going to face up and the back of the hand touches down toward the ground. The toes kind of tickle the inside of the wrist. And then go ahead and do the other foot. Going ahead and lifting it up, placing the foot on. The toes touch the wrists here. Lengthening out the arms here, so let the weight of the foot push into the heel of the hand. And then maybe pulling away from the ground a little bit to feel the shoulders. A little or a lot, this is up to you. You will feel sensation right away. Just depends on where you'd like to feel it. So maybe we pull with the arms, maybe we push a little more with the feet. And then starting to try to straighten out the legs here. Trying to straighten out here. Let's go ahead and take 3 more breaths here. Pulling the hands away or pressing into the heels of the hands. Allow the shoulders to droop down. Feel opening through the center. 1 more here. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and lift up 1 foot, anchoring through the heel, release the hand. Anchor through the heel, release the hand. Bend the knees so much so you can plant the palms in here and lean into the wrists ever so slightly. And come back. Inhale, a half lift. Exhale to fold really deep. Inhale, big, tall stretch, reaching those arms up above. Exhale through the heart center. Beautiful. Big flow. Inhale, come up. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Take your time until we can touch the ground here. Wonderful. It's been so deep in those legs that we can step our right leg back for a nice low lunge. So it's up to you if you'd like to lower the knee down or keep the knee lifted. You take a moment and see what you need to feel here. Maybe palms are planted. Maybe we're up on the fingertips. Just making sure the front knee is over top of the front ankle. Pressing through the back of the foot into the ball of the foot, the right foot. So really push it through so we can feel the quad muscle hug up into the leg. Feeling a little more activity through the core as well, a little bit more of a tug. Coming up to the fingertips, lifting the chest high, taking a big breath in. Wonderful. Exhale to press those palms back in or lower the chest a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and step back to a plank shape. So reaching that left leg back, taking a moment to tuck the toes, finding the wrists under shoulders, pressing the ground away so we can feel the shoulders pull down toward the ground. Let's take just a couple more breaths here. Good. Start to push through the toes until we feel resistance in the wrists. Then we'll bend into the elbows, draw them toward the rib cage alongside. Shoulders come forward, long neck. Lower down to the belly. Untuck the toes. Push the mat away from you for a moment to lift the chest. And then begin to pull it away to feel some action in the low back. Feel long neck, shoulders pull away from the ears. Inhale. Exhale to round ourselves back down. Tucking the toes, coming up and back to a plank shape. Wonderful. Press back to a downward dog. Our first downward dog here, pedal out those heels. Sway the hips. Bend the knees if that feels nice for you. And pressing into those palms and the heels of the palms, maybe pressing into the pointer finger and the thumb to feel a little less pressure in the wrists. Finding a nice incline in those arms. Lifting up on the balls of the feet. Inhale through the upper chest. Exhale to bring the belly in toward the body. Press back in the hands and maybe tilting the tail a little more. Lowering the heels down. Pressing the heels toward the ground. Wonderful. Inhale, come toward a plank shape, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, bring ourselves down to our bellies. Inhale, peel the gaze. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, tuck the toes, lift up and back, a downward dog. Looking between the thumbs, let's hop our step to forward fold, back to the top of our mat. Finding a bit of weight in the upper body. Halfway lift on the inhale. Exhale to fold really deep. Inhale to rise all the way up, tall stretch. Exhale, hands between the heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Fold so deep that we can step the left leg back for a nice slow lunge, finding the palms on the ground or the fingertips on the ground. Maybe the knee drops down toward the ground just to feel that hip opening. Take a little weight off and support yourself. Or pushing through the ball of the foot, lengthening out the leg, feeling that quad muscle lift up and away from the ground, feeling that center line of the body, and a little bit more core action. Just take a moment to feel. Inhale up on the fingertips to bring the chest, lift, push through the ball of the foot. Beautiful. Exhale to press back down and back to our plank shape. Bring that right leg back. Find our wrists under shoulders. Press the ground away. Take an inhale. Exhale to push away. Bring those elbows down to the belly. Inhale into a cobra pose. Exhale to release back down. Inhale to come up and back to downward dog. Pedal the heels. Take another moment here. Walking the feet in ever so slightly to feel a little more connection with the heels. Lifting up on the balls of the feet. Inhale through the upper chest. Exhale to tuck the belly in, to tilt the tail a little bit, push into those palms, and lower the heels on the exhale, still coming through the end of that exhale. Let's take one more breath here in our downward dog. And then have a look between our thumbs. We'll hop our step to forward fold back to the top of the mat. Releasing that upper body again. Inhale, a half lift. Give yourself support if you'd like. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise all the way up. Arms come up and reach. Really tall stretch. Exhale, hands through the heart center. Beautiful. Let's bring the feet hip width apart. Finding a nice grounding in the heels, in the edges of the feet, and the balls of the feet as well. Let's inhale the arms up alongside the ears, biceps in line with our ears. Shifting the weight a little bit into the heels to bend the knees. Feeling light in the toes, sending our bums behind ourselves, a little bit of a tilt in the tail. Hinging the hips, coming into a chair shape. Option to have the hands toward the heart center, or give ourselves a little bit of challenge, squeezing those shoulder blades back behind. Wonderful. We'll fold ourselves right here, all the way down, dip down. Inhale, a half lift. Exhale to dip down to forward fold. Inhale to tall stretch, all the way up to the ceiling or the sky, wherever you are. Exhale, hands to heart. Wonderful. Let's go back to our chair. Inhale, arms up with us. Exhale, hands through the heart center. This time, coming into the chair pose, let's snuggle our thumbs into our sternum. Bring the shoulders away from the ears, a long neck. Toes are light. Feel the lift, the rib cage away from hips. Feel the engagement of our quads here, long neck here. And then we'll go ahead and look toward our right side. Just have a look to the shoulder. Perhaps we'd like to come into a twist here. We can go ahead and twist the torso, bringing the left forearm, the left tricep on the other side of the right thigh. If we find that the bone in the arm is just not long enough, we could open up the wingspan, pressing into the back of the arm. Just make sure the knees stay parallel to each other. Lifting up, or hands at heart. Pressing nice and firm into the right foot. One more breath. Shoulder away from ear. Back to center. And we'll fold right where we are. Inhale, a half lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to rise, big tall stretch. Exhale, hands through heart center. Bending through the knees, shifting the weight into the heels to feel light in the toes. Send our tail behind. Lengthen our rib cage, lengthen the spine a little bit by pulling the rib cage away from the hips on the inhale. Shoulders away from ears, long neck. Have a look toward the left side this time, to the shoulder. If we'd like to go a little further, bringing the back of the right tricep onto the outside of the left thigh, pressing into those palms. Again, maybe opening the wingspan. We could look up. We could look to the side. Keep the hands toward the heart center. Press in and lift through, keeping the knees parallel with each other so they can tend to wander. Let's pull it back in, pressing more into the right leg or the right foot. Back toward the center and forward fold. Inhale, big, tall stretch, sweep up. Exhale, hands through the heart center. Inhale, big, tall stretch, sweep up. Exhale, forward fold. Release yourself all the way down to the earth. Let the crown release. The arms are heavy. And take a moment for yourself here. Beautiful. Take an inhale to a half lift. And exhale to fold deeply. Inhale to rise. Bring the arms all the way up. Big, tall stretch. Exhale, hands through the center of the chest. Release the arms by the sides. Take a moment here to settle into the feet. Find some balance here. Maybe step the feet just a little bit wider than our hip width apart. Maybe just a little wider than our foot stance. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, soften the knees, hinge the hips, forward fold. Fold so deeply that you can plant the palms down on the ground and step or hop back to a plank shape. Finding our wrists under shoulders, press the ground away. Let's feel the outer edge of the shoulders pull down toward the earth. The center of the shoulder blades puff up. The inner line of the body, the inner line of the legs, the adductors. Feeling them pull in toward one another. Feeling the center line of the core. Noticing and feeling that idea and sensation of a wetsuit. Zipping both sides together, all the way around. Option to lower the knees and come into a supported side plank, or coming all the way over to our left side in a side plank. So first I'll show the kneeling version, bringing the left knee down. Kickstand the left foot to the side, the lower half of the left leg, out to the side. Shift the weight into the left hand. Release the right arm and reach up toward the ceiling, turning out the back foot and planting through the outer blade of the foot, the inside of the foot, reaching up through the fingertips. Notice how this feels. Maybe lifting up the back leg for a little extra sensation. Those of us that would like to try a full plank, let's come back toward the center. Shifting our weight into our left side, coming onto the outer blade of the left foot and the inner side of the right foot, pressing through that left arm, lifting up through the right fingertips. Lift the hips up. Let's take 2 breaths here. Reach, reach, reach. Feel that strength. Wonderful. Right arm comes down. Let's come back to the center. Maybe we're in a kneeling plank. Maybe we're in a knee lifted plank. Feel ourselves here. And then a side plank to the right. So perhaps we lower the right knee, kickstand the lower half out, turn ourselves over to the right side, reach up through the left hand, pressing through the right palm, lifting the hips. Maybe we like a little bit of zippiness by lifting up our back leg and feeling a little difference here. Maybe we'd prefer that full side plank, coming back to the center. Leaning our weight into the right hand, coming to the outside of the right foot and the inside of the left foot. Lifting up through the left fingertips, pressing that hip high. Taking a couple more breaths here. Good, feel strong, feel long. One more. Inhale, reach, reach, reach. Exhale, left palm comes down. Wonderful. Come back to the center. Release the knees down. Go ahead and walk ourselves back, bringing the hips toward the heels. Coming into a child's pose shape. So perhaps you'd like to extend the arms. Maybe we need to stack underneath the forehead. Maybe wrapping the arms around, tucking in. Let's take a few breaths here. And see if we can zero in on the sensation of the breath in the back of the body. Can we feel the swell of breath in the lower spine, in the hips? Can we feel the rib cage swell open and come back together on the exhale? Maybe up a little higher into the shoulder blades, feeling the shoulder blades swell open, and then snuggle back together on the exhale. If our arms are extended, perhaps we lift our elbows up, walk the fingertips a little bit farther, and then let the hips fall back toward the heels, feeling just a little more openness in the shoulders, a little more length down the sides of the body. Let's just take one more nice long breath here in a child's pose shape. Wonderful. Let's bring ourselves forward, extending the arms, if we hadn't already. Draw ourselves forward, bring the shoulders over the wrists, and lower ourselves down to our bellies. So maybe we tuck the toes or walk the feet back. Let's come down to the belly here. Bringing the palms underneath the shoulders or a little bit behind them, just a little bit in toward the body and a little bit behind. Snuggle those elbows in. Look toward the ground here. And then starting to trace the gaze, looking at the edge of the yoga mat, across the floor to where the floor meets the wall. Up toward the wall, perhaps we pull the mat toward us a little more to feel the low back. Look up toward the wall, where the wall meets the ceiling perhaps. And then back down again, where the wall meets the floor meets your mat, and the mat comes underneath your gaze. Inhale, look across the mat meets the floor, pull the mat toward you. The floor meets the wall. The wall perhaps meets the ceiling. Press into the tops of the feet to look up. Exhale to trail back down again. Beautiful. Next, inhale, pressing into those palms a little bit to raise the chest and to pull the shoulders away from the ears. Bringing the left forearm parallel to the top of the mat, and go ahead and press a little bit into the forearm so it gives us a little support. We don't have to do as much work in our low back. Pressing into the tops of the feet. We have the right palm planted here for a little support. So what we want is a nice square shoulder here. Pressing into the top of the left foot, nice and firm. Bending into the right knee. Maybe we can support ourselves enough through the left arm in the front that we can reach back to the right ankle or the top of the foot. I really like the ankle because once we find a little bit of flexion in the ankle, we have this little bit of shelf that we've made here. So you can snuggle the hand right into that little bit of a crevice. Beautiful, anchoring into the top of the left foot, feeling that push into our forearm, our palm, equal pressure. Wonderful, start to push the foot into the palm, the right ankle into the palm. Feel the quad engage here, and it's up to you how far you'd like to go here, how much you'd like to push. 3, 2, 1, release. Switch arms, bring the right arm parallel to the top of the mat. Same thing here, equal pressure into the palm and the elbow. Pressing into the top of the right foot, bending into the left knee. Reach back with the left hand. Find the top of the foot of the ankle. I like the ankle. Flex if you like to, and push the foot or ankle into the palm and the palm into the ankle or the foot. Press into the top of the right foot, and 3, 2, 1, release. Bring both forearms parallel. We'll tuck the chin right on top and just take a breath. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and sweep both arms behind, finding a little bit of anchorage in the lower portion of the rib cage and the hips, just finding that little bit of surface area that you can go ahead and reach those palms back. And can we bend both knees, find both ankles, flex both heels if that's available and you like that too. Bringing the knees in parallel to the hips, keeping them hugging in the inner line of the thighs. Finding anchorage in our chest here, and maybe this is enough. Maybe we push the ankles into the palms and pull the shoulders back a little bit, opening the chest. Maybe we push the feet into the ankles to lift the quads and to lift the legs up. So you kind of get to choose your own adventure here. Take a moment to see what you'd like to feel. Maybe we'd like to go for both. And we'll just take 3 breaths here. Hugging the inner lines of the legs. Letting the chest open, the rib cage come forward. And then release down when you feel ready. Bring those forearms parallel. Rest the chin down and take a breath. Wonderful. Let's take one little flow here to get rid of any stagnancy in our back. Bring the palms underneath our shoulders. Tuck the toes. Press ourselves up and back to a plank shape. And then find your way into a downward dog, perhaps using your vinyasa flow. Maybe just going right back to a downward dog. Finding a little settle in the hips. Maybe a little pedal in the heels and stretch the toes. Maybe walking the feet in a little bit to feel a little more connection to the ground through the heels, or feel the heels a little closer to the earth. Pushing into the heels of the hands, perhaps, or the fingers, the pointer and the thumb. Take a little weight off. Let's feel a tilt in our tail. Breathe through the upper chest. Pull the belly in on the exhale. Notice if that changes anything for you. Wonderful. Let's bring ourselves forward into a plank shape. Push through the toes, release down onto the belly. Let's come back into the shape we created earlier. Let's bring the right forearm parallel to the top of the mat, kind of snuggling it in a little bit so we can feel an appropriate lift in the chest. Maybe you like it a little bit farther away to come a little bit lower. Perhaps you'd like it a little bit closer. So just taking a moment here, we'll plant the left palm underneath the right shoulder. The left palm underneath the left shoulder. Pressing into both the tops of the feet. Feeling long in those legs, feeling an engagement through the inner lines of the legs, feeling an engagement in our hips and some support in the low back. Wonderful. Let's just go ahead here and bend through the left knee. Flex through the heel and press that leg in toward the ground. Press the quad down. So maybe the right or the left arm, feels a little uncomfortable here. Snuggled in, we're just using it to brace ourselves. If you like it to have it forward and to just push the ground away to feel a little more level in the shoulders, feel free. Just pushing into the top of the left quad muscle. And then release. So plant the left palm wherever you like to, maybe snuggled in, maybe extended here is a little bit of a release if that's relieving to you. Let's try it again, bending in through the left knee. Flex through the left heel and push the quad into the ground. Now we're going to focus on the right side, so let's push into the top of the right foot at the same time. So pushing the left quad in, the top of the right foot in, noticing anything there is to notice. Hopefully there's something. And then release. Switching arms here. And again, we're just using our right arm to sort of brace ourselves. So if you like to have it tucked in, the wing tucked in a little bit, or you like to have that arm extended, that's up to you. Pressing into the tops of the feet. And then bending through the right knee, flexing through the right heel, and pressing the quad into the ground. Feeling a little bit of oblique on the side, hopefully. Beautiful. And then release. And again, we can place the arm wherever. So if that felt after one move or after one breath, it felt a little uncomfortable, extend the arm here. So let's do it again, pressing into the tops of the feet. Take a moment. And then go ahead and bend into the right knee, flex the right heel, and press the quad into the ground. At the same time, we'll press the top of the left foot into the ground. And feel a lot of engagement here on both sides of the body. Beautiful. Take one more breath. Press the quad down on the right, the top of the foot of the left, and then release. Let's release all the way down and windshield wipe the legs side to side. So maybe you'd like to support the chin. Maybe you'd like to lay on the side of the face. Nothing too fancy here. Just feeling a little release. A little massage on the quads. Maybe you'd like to flex the heels and pull the heels in toward the glutes, firming up the quads a little bit so you can massage them a little bit more. Maybe it feels good to bring the legs a little bit farther out, so straightening the legs a little bit more as you rock onto the knees or into those little soft areas. Beautiful. Let's take one more breath. Just any kind of movement you like, maybe circles in one direction, in the other direction. Wonderful. Pressing into the tops of the feet here, anchoring into that lower portion of the rib cage. Sweep our arms behind ourselves. Let's point our fingers toward the toes, thumbs to the ground, pinkies to the sky. Pressing into the tops of the feet. Press the fingers toward the toes, reach the shoulders away from the ears, and look down to the edge of the yoga mat on the ground or toward the ground. Just a little bit in front of the gaze, but down. Feel that neck become really, really long here. And then finding that area between the bottom of the rib cage, the tops of the hips, and see if we can float the feet up a little bit here. Pull the shoulders away from the ears, press the fingers toward the toes, find a little bit more of a back bend, and almost like we're flying through the air at hyper speed. So we feel we're going really, really, really fast. It's curving up the body, reach the shoulders back, and we'll take 3 more breaths here, flying through hyper speed, super fast yogis. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful, super high speed. Press those fingers back. Find a little more bend. 1 more breath. And then exhale to release it all the way down. Support yourself as you need. Switch cheeks if you like to, if you're laying on one of your cheeks. Nice big breaths here. Take a moment for yourself. And then bringing those palms underneath the shoulders, we'll tuck our toes to press up and back to child's pose. So let those hips sink back to the heels. Untuck the toes when you get there and lengthen out that low back. Take any modifications that feel nice for you here. We talked about a couple of them. Maybe the knees are together to support the low back. Maybe the knees come apart to open up the hips a little bit to feel just a little wider in that region. Maybe the arms are extended, or maybe they're swept around and tucked in. So you get to decide. In through the nose, out through the nose. Again, feel the swell of breath. Rest the forehead down. Release the neck and the upper shoulders. Just let it all go here. Let the hips sink really heavy toward the ground. Maybe if it feels good, lifting the hips up ever so slightly up off the heels, reaching the arms a little bit farther forward, finding a grip with the hands, and then letting the hips fall back, using the grip of the mat or the grip of the ground to lengthen the arms and feel those long lines on the outer sides of the body, feeling really open in our shoulders and in our chests. Feeling those shoulder blades open so we can add a lot of breath into the back body. In through the nose and out through the nose. One more breath here. Make it a nice long yogi breath and take some time. When we feel ready, bring ourselves back up to a tabletop shape. So in all fours, bring the knees in underneath the hips and the wrists underneath the shoulders, pointing the fingers forward and just spreading the hands or spreading the fingers a comfortable amount. Press the ground away to feel those outer shoulders, or those outer shoulder caps kind of be drawn toward the ground or pulled toward the earth. Feeling the center of the chest come up in toward the body. And then on an inhale, just starting to stick the tail up, tilting the pelvis, tucking that tailbone up and in toward the body. Let our hips fall down toward the ground. The lower portion of the rib cage be tugged toward the ground. Pulling the chest forward, lifting the chin and the chest. And as we exhale, we tuck our tail in whenever your exhale begins. Pulling the belly in toward the spine, pressing into the palms, finding a curve in the spine, tuck the chin. Inhale, the tail lifts, the belly drops, the chest lifts forward. And exhale, the tail comes in, the spine rounds, and the chin tucks. Let's go 3 more cat-cows at our own pace. Pull the mat toward you to lift up if that feels and helps the body feel good. Tuck the tail in, push the mat away from you to round the spine if that helps. And just a couple more. Tail comes up, belly drops, chest lifts. And we know what we're doing to come back in toward the body. One more cat-cow, depending on where we are. Close the eyes if that feels nice to you. Wonderful. Let's walk the hands one hand distance forward. So just walking them in front of where the fingertips ended on our palms. Drawing the shoulders over wrists, so pushing ourselves a little bit forward, coming into a kneeling plank shape. Take an inhale as you press the ground away. Exhale as you draw your hips forward, bend the elbows in toward the rib cage and lower the chest. Inhale to reach the chin up, press into the tops of the feet, pull the mat toward you. Exhale, bring yourself back down. Inhale, lengthen out the arms, push away from the ground. And exhale to draw the hips back toward the heels, just lengthening out the arms. So maybe we don't reach all the way back, that's okay. We're going to keep flowing. Inhale toward the front, shoulders over wrists, press the ground away. Exhale, elbows in, shoulders forward. Keep going. Inhale, long neck, long arms. Exhale, long arms, hips toward the heels. Let's go 5 more. Inhale, close the eyes if that feels nice for you. Exhale, coming down to the earth. Inhale, feeling the inner line of the body. Exhale, feeling length in the arms, release in the shoulders. Keep going, a few more to go. Use the breath to power your movements. Inhale. Exhale. Couple more. Inhale. Exhale. I always find through this flow I tend to start wandering backwards. So maybe tucking the toes feels good for you. Maybe you find yourself kind of wiggling back and back and back toward the mat. I always find that for myself. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, last one. Exhale back into almost child's pose. Let's just lengthen out those arms. Inhale back into an all fours. So let's walk the hands back toward ourselves. Bring those shoulders over our wrists, our knees under the hips. And we'll do one more nice little posture to release our shoulders, our low back. We've done a lot of supple spine work. So right where our palms are, getting all tongue-tied, bring our elbows down. About shoulder width apart here. Taking a moment to feel it out. Pressing gently into the palms, pressing gently into the elbows to lengthen out, to feel long in the neck, to feel a little engagement on the insides of the shoulders so that we're not sort of collapsing the neck down quite yet. Pressing in nice and long here. Allowing the pelvis to tilt out like we do in our cat and cows. So let's press into the knees a little bit and sort of press in and imagine the glutes coming outward. So outer rotation of those thigh bones as well. Feeling a little bit of spread or wideness in our glutes. So pressing in through the knees and kind of pulling the knees apart. I'm sure you'll feel it. A little bit of spread in those bum cheeks. And now that we've engaged that a little bit here, pressing out through those spread of the bum cheeks. Feel the lower portion of the rib cage be drawn toward the ground so the low belly comes down. Remember to keep the separation in those glutes happening. And then walking the hands forward. Maybe keeping the elbows in if that was more accessible. But pushing through those knees, separate those glutes. Let those bellies and rib cages come down toward the ground. Setting the chin down if that's accessible, or the forehead. So that's up to you. Maybe like this. Maybe like this. Notice what you need here. And every time we exhale, it's just let the body become a little bit heavier each time. Pressing in through the knees and pulling the knees apart. And just 2 more breaths here. Push into the knees, pull them apart. Next, inhale to walk the hands back toward ourselves or come up off of our elbows. Take the knees over to the right side to come into a seated shape. I'm going to face you here so you can face whichever way you like. I'm just going to go ahead and come into an easy seat. Maybe it feels nice to add a little propping to underneath the hips to drop the knees a little bit lower than our hips. But if it feels nice to sit onto our sit bones, take that seat. Staggering the legs, one in front of the other, to take a little pressure off the ankles. Find our hip bones. I invite you to close your eyes. Find our hip bones, our sits bones rather, these are our hip bones. Finding our 2 bones that we balance on when we take a seat, no matter what we put underneath our seat. Then leaning back just a little bit to feel equal pressure on each sit bone. Finding the ears over the shoulders over the hips. A nice long, tall spine. Let's go back to that imagery and that sensation idea of a wetsuit. So we're wearing our wetsuit. It's bringing ourselves in, and we're going to zip it up. So it's really tight. And I don't know if you've ever seen those wetsuits. They always look like they're about 10 sizes too small, even for me. And we'll zip them in, and then we're going to take our zipper and zip our way up. So automatically, perhaps if we can really get in that imagery, we felt a lift in our rib cage. So again, maybe if we didn't, let's take an image in our mind of a wetsuit. We'll take a big breath in. Zipping it up, exhale, keep that lift. And just allow yourself to exhale as you keep that inner line hugged and you keep everything kind of knitted in and zipped in. Good. Inhale, arms, bring our arms up all the way to the sky. Let's have a look with our gaze all the way up in between those palms. Remember that wetsuit. Let's lift up and zip. Exhale, let's watch our right hand fall down toward our side body. Use the whole exhale and engage our gaze with the hand. Turn the palm in, press the fingertips in, reach up through the left fingertips on your next inhale, so take a moment. And then exhale, curving or bending ourselves over to the right side. Bend into the right elbow if you need to. Let's take a moment here and imagine that idea of squeezing our shoulder blades together like we did before. So let's peel open the left shoulder, press into the right palm to maybe turn the heart a little bit forward. Take your gaze down to the right palm. So we're finding some twist, finding some squeeze. Good. Push through the right palm. Watch that palm come back up on the inhale. Beautiful. Switch the gaze. Exhale. The left arm creeps down by the side. Take your time. It's easy to rush. Turn the palm in. Press the fingertips in. Inhale to reach up on the next inhale with the right fingertips. And then exhale over to the other side, bending into the left elbow. Give yourself some room here. And then noticing and feeling into the shoulder blades. Let's peel open the right shoulder. Bend the elbow a little bit so it's easier to pull back and to squeeze that shoulder back. Pressing into the left palm, maybe pushing it away from you a little bit so we can curve a little more into the side body on the right. Beautiful squeeze. Next inhale, reach up, watch the left hand. Come all the way back up, inhale. As the fingertips come toward each other, kiss them together. Exhale, draw the hands down to the center of the chest. Beautiful. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, hands through the heart center. Let's go ahead and close our knees like a book. Bring ourselves onto our backs and come into a knees to chest shape just for about a breath or so. So coming back onto our backs, hugging those knees in, maybe rocking them side to side. You know what you like to do here. We've all done our knees to chest quite a few times. To give yourself a little massage, perhaps. Maybe it feels nice to just kind of sling those legs inside of the elbows and hold onto the hands or the wrist. And just breathe softly into that center of the body, into the pelvis and the belly, and the chest and the ribs. Preparing ourselves for a shavasana, a final relaxation pose to wrap everything together, to integrate all of our movement into our bodies and all of our thought processes into our brains, and categorizing, balancing, shifting, filing, all those things we need to do. Let's release the legs. Reach them out nice and long. Bring the heels nice and far away from one another. If you do wear glasses, I suggest taking them off. It feels pretty nice. I'll try to keep an eye on the time. Let's bring the arms nice and wide or away from the side body, pointing the palms up toward the sky. Maybe tucking the shoulders in a little bit here so we can feel the chest open. Take a little time to wiggle and to shift. Get rid of those itches, twitches. Feel the body become still. Feel the exhale become the star here. The inhale is the lightness, and the exhale is the grounding. Feeling safe and comfortable and free and loving on our little square that we've made in our practice. So let's take the time we need here and let ourselves become heavy in the best way and held by the earth. And I promise I'll bring you back when it's time to come back. Staying exactly where you are. And take a couple breaths in this beautiful space that you have created all on your own. Maybe it took a little bit of movement and exhaustion and challenge to get there, to get here, but enjoying the result. In through the nose and out through the nose fully. Feel that nourishment in the body, that filling up of the body. Let's take another inhale, reaching the arms up overhead, pointing the toes, big, long stretch. And exhale, go ahead and bring the knees in toward the chest. We'll roll over to the right side of the body, shifting the hips to the left. And taking a moment to hold yourself. One more nice breath here. Noticing whatever there is to notice, feel whatever there is to feel. Let's lengthen out the left leg, press into the left palm to easily press ourselves back up. And we'll come on back to a nice seated shape. Any seated shape will do. Maybe staggered legs, maybe we're seated on something. I invite you to close your eyes and sit up nice and tall. Placing one of our hands on our chest and one on our bellies. Feel the warmth of your hands, and again, we'll hold ourselves, whatever that means to you. If it feels a little bit silly, we'll keep doing it until it doesn't feel silly. We'll hold ourselves. Take a big inhale, fill up the body fully. Release the breath in any way you feel good. My heart is at ease. Knowing what's meant for me will not pass me by. And what passes me by was not meant for me. Bring our arms up, big sun breath together to close our practice. Hands come down through where the heart lives. The light and the love in me truly honors the light and the love in all of you. Namaste.